a scissors for cutting pattern on the paper. I don't use the same scissors I use on fabrics. So you need 2 scissors. You need tape rule, of course. You know you need tape rule. You need a box of pin. You need your chalk, and you need different sizes of ruler. For a neat job, you need all these items, and I'll be working with this measurement: the shoulder, the bust, the waist, and the gown length. And of course, your basic need here is your material. I'm going to use an African print material. But before I cut the material, I'm going to pattern it out so that we won't so that you get a clear picture of the pattern. It is better on a plain paper rather than the material. Later you can transfer it to your fabric. You can use brown paper, and you can also use an old calendar, and I'm using the back. So already I have folded it into 2, and I'm going to start my measurements. The shoulder is our shoulder is 17, which is 8.5. You divide your shoulder into 2, and I have my 8.5 here, plus half an inch of sewing allowance. And you can lower the shoulder either by 1.5 or 1.75. I'm going to cut 1.75 because it normally looks very nice. So, and remember what you have here is 9, so I'm going to measure the same thing on 9. And of course I'm going to use my ruler. Now my neck is going to be 3.5. It's going to be a V-neck. You know, it's double. We are working on double breasted, so I have my 4.5 here. After sewing, it will become 4. Then I'm going to use 8 inches for the V neck. 8 inches is here, and I'm going to use my ruler to connect it this way. Normally, for a little curve, I will just measure half an inch inward or less than that, it depends, and I'll get it down here. There's just a little curve for it not to be that straight. And from here, my armhole, I'm going to use 10 inches, and I always also measure 10 inches here. This will be connected later. And my shoulder to waist is 17, but I'm going to use 18 because of the sewing allowance joining here, the flare down here, and also the half an inch on the shoulder. So the bust measurements, remember to connect this. This is my bust line, and this is my waistline already measured here. So on my bust line, the bust is 40, so I'm going to divide the bust into 4, which is 10. And I have my 10 here. I have my my dart allowance. If you need it, if you don't need it, don't put it. But my dart allowance, sorry, that's an error there. Let's go back. 10 inches, that's 40 divided by 4. then my sewing allowance is 1.5 inch. That's exactly what we have on the paper there. Then on the waist, my waist is 38, which is 19. To really get it, you use your tape rule. Half of 38 is 19, and half of 19 is 9.5. Here you are going to measure 9.5 here, 9.5 here. That allowance 1 inch and 1.5 inch for the sewing allowance. So I'm going to use my ruler now. On your bodice, you measure what you have here. What you have here for your shoulder is 9. So you measure that 9 here. Join the line so that it will be very straight. Okay. Remember, the whole of this lot is a bust line. For me to really get a rounded without using any instrument, just measure 1 inch in, and on that line I shape out. I also do something in order not to have excess on your bust line. You measure 5 inches from here, and you measure 1/2 inch inward, and you are going to shape it along that line. So the excess that could be puffy under your arm is already taken care of. So that is your armhole. And remember, our waist is to this end. Is to this end. You are not going to shape it out, but your dart will do the shape for you. For our darts, I'm going to measure right from the center front 4.5, and your dart normally is 1 inch. So you measure here, you measure here, and my dart length is going to be about 5 inches. Going to be about 5 inches. After sewing, it will be 4.5. Remember, I measured 4. So this is how it's going to be. For a neat job, you need to use your ruler and your pencil very well. And when you transfer to your fabrics, remember you use chalk to do all this. When sewing, it will be very easy for you. So I'm now going to cut it out. Remember this, you lower this by 1/3. If you are going to use this on the back of the blouse, just use something like 1.5. I'm going to put a collar on this, so I'm not going to use normal 1.5. I will just use 1 inch. I'm gonna shape it down. Now I'm going to use this to cut. That's my scissors for cutting paper. I'm going to cut out my V-neck. Just cut along your mark. And I'm going to shape out my armhole. So you have your bodice for the blouse. But we will not end here because we are doing a double-breasted bodice. So I'm using my longer ruler now. What you do is this. right from the tip of your V-neck, you draw a line that way. And we are going to cut it out. We open it and we will cut it out. You can give it a little dent in if you wish. So I'm just going to do that. Now we have this. This is what we are going to transfer to our material. And I will just show you, how it's going to be on the material. I'm going to use this one on my fabric, and we are going to lap it together to see how it looks like. Bodice is now placed on the fabrics and cutouts. Note that the fabrics is folded into two because we are going to have double bodice separated. So we are going to see how it is placed when it is cut out. The pattern bodice is now placed on the fabric to cut out. The fabric should be unfold, and this is the armhole. Remember a V-neck here, you have to notch it. A V-neck that we cut down, is placed on the material, on the fabric I mean. And this is what you will have. This is doubled. By the time you cut it out, this is what you have. And you have to mark it. This is the wrong side, the inner side. So we have two pieces this way. We are now going to place it. And this is what we have. Just note from here that we cut out from the paper is what we double. The side supposed to be. I hope you are following me. So we also have the back that already we have cut out with the zip panel. So when we are ready and we sew, that's how it's going to be. So you follow me to how we are going to cut the flare part of the dress, that is the down part of the dress. So we have our bodice complete. We are now ready to cut the flared part of the fabric. I hope you are following.